exactly what they did, and they did it without using the regulatory framework which has been designed to ensure that abuses didn't happen. You want to stop me from flying? Put my name on the list. And that opens up a whole can of worms, doesn't it? No violent intent, I'm a good, peaceful man. Put my name on the list for merely because I don't have government-issued identification. Makes you look stupid there. Plus, it opens the big can of worms about how you can put me on a specified persons list and revoke permission when I never submitted application to be issued something by you. Oh, I'm going to make you look so stupid, and I'm going to use this as an opportunity to wake up a whole lot of people in Canada. Passengers who fly, do they realize right now they're not exercising a right, that they have transferred those rights to you and now exist only at your pleasure and with your permission? Do you think the average adult is going to be finding that acceptable? I don't think they will. It's with WestJet, is that correct?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, this call, just so you know, might be recorded for my purposes as well, eh? But I wish you a great day. I have a little problem. I just went to the airport here in Vancouver. I was booked on a 7 a.m. flight, and I don't have government-issued identification. I do have an identification affidavit that I have used in court, that I've used for travel on your wonderful airline before. But apparently they were told, I spoke with a woman by the name of Sandra, I believe, and she told me that they were told by Transport Canada not to allow me to board unless I showed government-issued identification. However, reading the regulations, I see that there's no burden to have government-issued identification, and that the power to deny someone access to a flight must be based on a legitimate concern about security. And it seems to me that you're operating outside the boundaries of what that whole screening regulation is supposed to be, because if you didn't know who I was, then how could you send a memo about me? And the thing is, if my name is on the no-fly list, as it's called, then the remedy is to engage in certain actions. But if my name is not on that no-fly list, the remedy available, it's not even available to me. So I'm supposed to be in Edmonton doing a gig tonight and Canmore tomorrow. And this denial of flight here, for what I see as no reason, because I'm not on the no-fly list. I'm perfectly identifiable for the purposes of screening, for the purposes of the regulation. All obligations have been met. There's absolutely no concern about me being a security threat. And the interpretation of the act, it doesn't say that, it says I'm to be asked for identification, not demanded. It doesn't say anywhere that I can be denied access to a flight if I don't have identification. It only says I can be denied access if the identification I produce matches the names on the no-fly list. And for those people on a no-fly list, their remedy is available to them. But if you're not on the no-fly list and they're denying you a flight, there is no remedy. So I'm very, very unhappy with this, although I'm generally a happy guy. And I spoke with my lawyer, and he says I should call you and see if we can't resolve it, because if not, we have no choice but to file documents on Monday in the Supreme Court, and I'd rather just get to Edmonton, do my comedy show, than engage in a legal battle that is just going to cost you guys a lot of money and a lot of bad publicity.
Alright, do you have your confirmation number for your booking?
Yeah, 1 second, please.
And hear it run through your spears, and by spear, not Britney Spears, but Shakespeare, Mother Teresa, Lao Tzu and Rumi, all the Sufis, Buddhists, and Buddhists, and me. I'm talking Son and Willie, Marlis, Mozart, Moses, and Moe.
The confirmation number, yeah, and that's the other thing. He says it's breach of contract. We can go after you heavy, but I don't really want to. Confirmation number UMF 2BV.
B as in Echo, V as in Victor.
No, B as in Bravo.
So Echo Bravo.
No, Uniform Michael Foxtrot 2 Bravo Victor. I was in the army. I know the phonetic alphabet.
Awesome. So, and who am I speaking with?
My name's Rob Menard. And
Okay,
your
Rob,
name, Chris?
Can I get you to hold for a second, please?
Sure, Chris. Can I get your before you go? Can I get your your employee number, please?
Actually, I'm going to have to put you on hold first, okay?
Okay, sweetheart.
Yo, I'm talking Campbell River. Yo, I'm talking Nelson, Campbell, the City Island, Harley, Denver.
Minister Baird's office, bonjour.
Hello, good day. My name's Robert Menard. I'm calling from Vancouver. I have a bit of an issue I'm hoping you might be able to help me with.
Okay.
I tried to fly on an airline on Saturday, and I was denied an opportunity to board. Apparently, I'm not on the no-fly list, so the remedy that would be available to me for being on the no-fly list apparently isn't. And the reason they wouldn't let me board is apparently someone from your office sent them a memo saying, we know who this man is, and if he does not have government-issued identification, he is not allowed to board. And because of that, they wouldn't allow me to board. I'm a sovereign freeman on the land. I'm a director of the World Freeman Society. I have no problem carrying identification provided by the people in government for this purpose, but the problem is, in order to get the documentation that you people claim is required, I have to submit an application, and I have to eventually, from the perspective of the law, that's abandon my rights and engage in a contract with you. And according to the Criminal Code of Canada, claiming that I can't exercise a right unless I first engage in a contract with you is extortion, plain and simple. So when I asked them to show me, okay, where in the act, where in the regulations does it say that you can bar someone whose name is not on the no-fly list, but who doesn't have identification, and they couldn't show me that anywhere. So I want to know whether or not you people are willing to provide me with identification without me having to submit an application. I can work on a demand. I would like to know whether or not you people would accept a full criminal record check with my picture on it and everything from the RCMP, or because if your concern really is just safety and security, that should be sufficient. If, however, what you're actually trying to do is fool people and deceive people into submitting application to you so that you can claim that you issued them something and thus you are in a legal position of authority over them, then that to me is pretty unacceptable, and I'd have to ask that you put my name on the list so I can go to court to get it taken off. And when the court asks, why is his name on the list, why isn't he flying, and they find out that he refuses to abandon his rights and engage in a contract with us, I'm pretty sure that my name I'll be back flying right quick. I don't think people should be forced into contracts in order to exercise their rights. So what I'm doing is I'm going to the RCMP in about an hour. I've got a meeting with them, and I'm going to be laying charges of extortion as well, because I've studied the law enough, and the reason I don't have the ID is because I refuse to submit an application and be issued something because I simply don't want to be employed by the government. And anyone who is holding identification issued by the government is in effect in a contract for hire. They're essentially either an agent for the government or they have identified themselves as a ward of the state. There has to be remedy which will allow me to get on the plane, which doesn't require me to enter into a contract with anyone. And anyone who says I have to enter into a contract with them first, like apparently the minister is doing, John Baird is doing, anyone who says that I have to contract with someone else first before I exercise my rights, that's extortion. So I'd like to know whether or not we can find, what I'd like is a letter from John Baird stating that identification, a background record check from the RCMP is sufficient for identification and establishing a peaceful nature, and thus will be suitable for travel. And now that way I'm on the plane and I'm traveling, but no one has me submitting an application. So if it's about safety and security, it should be okay. If safety and security is just your big excuse that you're using, well then you're going to say, no, we insist on something issued by the government. We'll look in court at the definition of issued. We'll see that it means you're employed by them, and then the whole thing